If you're one of the hundreds of thousands of transitioning service members or recently separated veterans looking to land your dream job in corporate America, you're beginning a very competitive journey. It's very likely that several hundred other candidates are applying to the same job, your dream job that you want to land. And if you want to be successful on this competitive journey, you need to set yourself apart from these other folks. You need to make yourself a candidate of interest. There's a number of ways you can do this. I'd like to talk to you about three. I'll talk to you about the format of your resume, the content of your resume, and also establishing a professional and proactive presence on social media. So when we talk about the function of your resume, you're most likely familiar with the chronologically formatted resume. It's very common, it's seen a lot. It lists your most recent work experience at the top and then highlights your knowledge, skills, and attributes in a reverse chronological order. The problem for transitioning service members and oftentimes military spouses is that this format is handcuffing you to highlighting what you've done most recently as opposed to what's most relevant to the job you're trying to achieve. So this is where a functional format can help you. A functional format gives you the flexibility and the power to highlight your knowledge, skills, attributes, and achievements that are most relevant to the job you're applying to, regardless of when you relied on those skills to be successful in your military career. For example, you can organize your resume based on job function, whether that be project management, logistics management, leadership, and communication, and then you can organize those functions putting the most relevant up top. You can highlight something that you did in your career 10, 12, 14 years ago and place that right next to something maybe you did only 8 months ago. So this is a very powerful and flexible tool for you to use, and I would recommend adopting a functional resume. Once you have this format that you're comfortable with, it's very important the content that you put into your resume. It's very important how you craft the resume to paint the right picture of your skills as they relate to the specific job you're applying to. It's important to speak directly to that hiring manager and that recruiter who have said, this is what we're looking for. Your resume needs to answer that question and say, I have exactly what you are looking for. And if you're unsure of what words to use, you can find those in the job description, in the requirements of the job, in the purpose of the role. Take those specific words, sentences, and phrases and find in your resume where they fit most appropriately and get them in there. Again, the job posting is the question, your resume is the answer. The last thing I mentioned was establishing a professional and proactive presence in social media. Specifically, I'll talk about LinkedIn. A lot of people, they know the importance of LinkedIn, they have a profile on LinkedIn, but they're only using it as a passive channel for somebody to find them. They feel if they put the right words in their profile, there's some recruiter out there in corporate America who's going to find them. What most people don't realize, what most transitioning veterans don't realize, is LinkedIn can be a very powerful tool for you to proactively conduct the research on the companies that you want to work for and the people doing the jobs that you want to do. A simple search on LinkedIn, for example, if you wanted to be a project manager at company X, you search for project manager company X, and that search is going to return dozens of people that you can then reach out to. You can make connections with these individuals. You can ask them questions. What do they like about their job? What are the biggest challenges? What will make me successful in this career field? You can connect with them, ask them for informational interviewing. All of this information is going to help you build a better resume. And then if you find yourself in an interview situation, you're just strengthening yourself as a candidate. You are becoming that candidate of interest that's going to be required to outperform these several hundred other people that want your job.
When speaking to transitioning veterans about becoming a candidate of interest in terms of the federal employment perspective, I think it's important to let them know that they have to think outside the box. What I mean by this is, ask yourself this question: how do I stand out amongst hundreds of resumes and applicants that are only for one particular job? The first key point I would like to say is I tell them to start your career exploration early in your transition. And what I mean by this is go on to USA Jobs. If you're interested in, say, becoming a contract specialist, Look up the contract specialist and see what the certain criteria is for you to apply for that position. So utilizing your social media outlets such as your LinkedIn, you can connect with individuals in those particular organizations. You can do a search for the organization, or you can also do a search for the particular job title. Once you do that, hundreds of people will pop up, professionals will pop up, and you will be able to network with those individuals. My third key point would be to, after you've networked with some individuals, and you can send out an email to them with a letter of interest. So you may be asking, what is a letter of interest? Well, typically letters of interest are confused with cover letters. A cover letter is something that you attach to your resume when you're applying for a position. A letter of interest is simply saying to the hiring manager, hi, this is who I am. I've researched your organizations. I found that these key skills of your organization's mission match with the key skills that I have, and I'd love to set up a time to meet with you and interview, and talk about, possible positions in the future. Just doing that one step will set you apart from other applicants that are applying for that one position. So when you do apply for that position and you attach that cover letter with your resume, the hiring manager will recognize your name because you also took that extra step and you sent in a letter of interest. And that is how you can become a candidate of interest when you are competing for one job amongst hundreds of other applicants.
Okay, being a candidate of interest, if you're a veteran to small business, I guess one of the most important things that you need to look at, I'm a business owner, and so when I start looking for a veteran to join my team, I have to go through very lengthy journey trying to find them. There's a lot of job boards out there and a lot of locations, Indeed.com and various online platforms. I can't use those really. What I do is I really am constantly networking. I speak to colleagues of mine all the time, and we basically are continually recruiting, always, looking for folks that have the right work traits. And when I talk about work traits, I'm talking about the work traits that I need for a specific job. I have a very diverse company. I'm a small business, but I do various things. Everything from service contracts to long-term or ground-up construction. Long-term service contracts, basic year with many option years or various option years. And then I look for folks that can actually handle the specific job. So how do we look for folks that have the right job traits? When I got out of the military, I'm an Army vet. When I got out of the military, I spent a little bit of time trying to figure that out. I've had several companies since then, but what I look at is, does the candidate have a good grasp of what they want to do? Not what you're good at, but what you want to do. And so one of the exercises I did when I got out is I got a long legal pad. I drew a line right down the center, and on one side I put down the skills that I was good at. I knew I was good at and I was an expert at. On the other side, I wrote the things down that I was pretty good at, but I really liked doing. And so those are the things, I guess getting to what we need to do is you need to look for what your own work traits are. You need to understand that and self-analyze yourself for what you need. And you can do that a lot of ways by going online and looking for various platforms that allow you to identify your work traits and what your skill sets are based upon the type of work that you want to do. Okay, so if you're looking at things like the Myers-Briggs type indicator, it helps you identify how you work with people and identifying where you want to support the folks that are working around you, so that you can self-identify the skills that you're good at and things that you're not so good at, and then concentrate on what you're good at and then move on down. So if you're going out and identifying a company like my company that you're interested in working with, do a little research. Find out what they do some good networking and every opportunity you have while you're still active duty, and then you can continue that same process as you go on. So when you're looking for folks that have the right work traits, I identify based upon the job I'm trying to fill. Okay, I hire a lot of technicians. Well, the same work traits that make a knockout technician are not the same work traits that I need for a salesman. So if you lend yourself, or your skill traits lend yourself more to a salesman, identify that before you go out and looking for a job. Prepare yourself, identify the team that you want to join, the company you want to join, and then start hitting them, start touching them. Speak to the leaders, speak to the folks that are in that company, find out what they do. Get smart on their business, what kind of services they provide, and if it's something that you see yourself working in, then you can elevate yourself to the point where you are positioning yourself for a job there. All right? They may not have a job for you right now and then, but what you can do is position yourself so that you're going to be the first person or top of mind person they contact when they do need you.